All right.
According to WHO worldwide, around 1.4 million children under the age of 15 are blind. Yet approximately half of all these childhood blindnesses can be avoided by treating these diseases as early as they are diagnosed early and also correcting the abnormalities at birth, such as cataracts and glaucoma. Up to
Mm.
80% of all blindness in adults is preventable or treatable. Like most of us, we think that, okay, this cannot be treated, why visit a doctor? Especially
Mm.
among children, the major causes of these avoidable blindnesses includes various reasons like cataracts or retinopathy of prematurity, or most importantly in India is vitamin A deficiency. So vitamin A deficiency is one of the big reasons of blindness in children, which can be easily taken care of, monitored and controlled. That's the most important message I would like to pass through this video interview today. Hi, I'm Smita Kumar, and you're watching Medicircle. And today on our healthcare startup series, we have Sanskriti Dable with us. Sanskriti is the CEO of Thinkerbell Labs. Thinkerbell Labs has created a tech ecosystem to enable the self-learning and classroom teaching for visually impaired. They have been quite famous nowadays just because they were featured in Shark Tank, and people now take in India the issue that yes, it's definitely something that we must do something about it. So, how India is tackling the problem and how Thinkerbell is helping such children with blindness. Let's talk to Sanskriti and know more about from her. Hi, Sanskriti. Welcome to Medicircle.
Hi, Smita. Thank you for having me.
So, Sanskriti, as you are the co-founder of Thinkerbell Labs, tell us most like why and when you started this startup and what is the core objective?
All right. So I started the company in 2016, although I've been working on the idea from 2013. So started the company straight out of college, and our mission is to make education inclusive. Right now, we're starting with braille literacy, but our overall vision is to look at any sort of special education needs where technology can play, have disproportionate impact in leveling the playing field. So that's the area we work.
And like there are a lot of important driving factors that actually run through the organization, run through the startup, and you take it as like this would be the differentiators of our particular venture. So, what are those prime USPs of Thinkerbell Labs?
So I think something that drives all four of us founders, and fairly sure all our team members as well, is we are very keen to do high quality, build high quality technology here in India to solve global issues. We all have a great alignment between our ambitions and our impact, where both of them feed each other. And third, we want to have fun doing it. So I mean, it's easy for me to say, but I think Thinkerbell Labs has a great culture where, and we've gotten this feedback from a lot of our interns and ex-employees and things like that, where it doesn't really feel like a workplace. It feels like you're going to do something cool with your friends and change the world. And that's how we started, and that's the attitude we try to capture and keep alive as the company grows.
That's something really interesting, because if its workplace becomes your passion, and if colleagues become your friend, and also your boss is there to always motivate you, I think your works become easier, and it's no place like that you are there, you are actually crafting your own dreams. So like tell us how many lives you have touched so far or benefited from your services, especially because you are working in such a category which definitely requires a lot of empathy, because see, vision is everything. You see the world with your eyes, and those children who are not able to, and if they are actually going through this great thing where they can actually read, write, and make themselves self-reliant, then nothing like it. So First, tell us how's the feeling about it, and how many lives you have taught so far.
So I think the first step, I mean, obviously great feedback from students, but I would say for, again, for different reasons, and that is something we're always very conscious of when you're building a product for 5 to 10 year olds, or I should say 5 to 14 year olds technically. But basically, you're building a product for children. They're not going to learn braille because it's good for them or whatever. Or I mean, from wo angle to hamesha se raha hai. It is just they will do things because it is fun and they want to do it, right? That is the way to actually change those numbers and to change those figures. So yes, I mean, we are, like I said, we are in more than 50 Annie Smart classes across India, across 16 states and more than 9 languages so far. As mentioned on Shark Tank, we are set to enter the US market, where every new child that is learning there will be learning with our technology. But coming to the actual quantified impact of all that, I'd like to share two things. One, there is very famous research by, I think, NFB Jernigan Institute that sort of makes a correlation between braille literacy and future employability. It is that if a blind person is braille literate, then they are 70% more likely to have employment later in life. So that's not to say that, yeah, so that's a very strong correlation between literacy and employability and employment later in life. Because while I think, and this was touched upon in the show a bit, that's the difference between, say, listening to an audio book versus actually being able to, say, navigate an Excel sheet of company financials, which you can do in braille. So again, there's the impact of every single literate person has dramatically improved chances of what they can achieve and accomplish in life. And second, and this one's my favorite, we've started seeing second order and third order impact of actually working on inclusive education for blind children. So we set up our first Annie Smart class in Ranchi in 2018, right? And at that time, it was brand new technologies, the world's first Annie Smart class. And children are learning, they're curious, their teachers are, every other week they're calling us up saying, अच्छा इसका क्या करना है, इसे कैसे करते हैं? And we just say, बच्चों को करने दीजिए, आपको कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं है. So that I think there is a bit of a mindset shift as well, because traditional teaching methods are all about teacher tells the student, and we are shifting to student is learning by themselves and teachers there to facilitate that learning. So that shift is there. But what happened due to the first science market is the school enrollment increased because people from villages nearby, because the government had actually taken action to set up something so modern in the school. That news spread across the nearby villages, and children who would have otherwise just been kept at home, probably regarded as a liability, were actually, the parents got them to Ranchi saying, government, हमने सुना है कि government कुछ technology लगाई है अंध विद्यार्थियों के लिए, तो हमने सोचा कि घर से बैठे तो कुछ सीख ही लेगा, टेक्नोलॉजी में कुछ सीख लेगा, कुछ कर लेगा बच्चा. I think that is so incredibly important, that whole changing of societal perspectives. To be honest, when I was trying to make my decision in terms of what to do after college, should I start a company, should I take up a job, I would have put this in my 10-year plan or something, saying perhaps it will take me 10 years to start influencing societal outcomes. But within 3 years of the company itself, we've seen that feedback from the schools, that school enrollment rates go up because the villages nearby get, so
definitely
because of impact, that's my thing.
Change is inevitable, but yes, changing the mindset of society is very difficult. In Sanskriti, definitely some parents, see, they have also lost all hopes, and there is no such thing which is actually going to empower their children. Or agar us tarah ka kuch systems aa raha hota hai, and definitely their enthusiasm and the hopes which Thinkerbell Labs have created for it, it's incredible. I think और किसी भी startup में शायद वो connect ना आए या वो feeling ना आए, but the satisfaction that you bring to a child, I think if I remember Prathamesh Sinha, your brand ambassador, the way he actually, I mean, demonstrated the product, it was like mind blowing. It was super interesting, and the way he was explaining it, I was like, he's damn cute. So where you found him actually?
He's one of our students at an Annie Smart class.
Okay,
So we
great.
had met him in 2019. उसके स्कूल ने Annie Smart class खरीदा था. तो ट्रेनिंग उसके ट्रेनिंग के दौरान also we knew that, I mean, we could see that he's a sharp child because he learned very quickly and he was trying to understand enough so he could teach his friends quickly. And so we remembered कि हाँ एक बच्चा था जो बहुत ही enthusiastic था. And then later when we got this opportunity, and I'm really happy about because when you spoke about impact, right, and that's how that's one of our core values at Thinkerbell Labs also, like for each of us individually, where our scale and our impact are so tightly tied. Like the huge platform that the company got because of Shark Tank, having Prathamesh explain what Annie means to him is going to be so transformative for so many people's mindset, because TV is an incredibly powerful medium in India. तो व्हेन पीपल सी कि टीवी पे कोई बच्चा बता रहा है कि वो क्या सीख सकता है, वो लाइफ में क्या कर सकता है, वो आईएएस ऑफिसर बनना चाहता है एंड वो बनेगा भी, तो उससे जो माइंडसेट चेंज होता है, दैट इज समथिंग यू नो that would have never happened at such a fast pace otherwise. It would have taken decades perhaps. So that is my most exciting part of the impact.
I think
Mindset change.
people also believed in the confidence with which he was talking, because it was so confident about, like, yes, he has learned things and how other children can also learn from that same device. That was really good. And also I think Shark Tank has changed I mean the way people used to think about Indian startups, especially because there are many problems which the Indian startups are, I mean, have brought into new innovations. But something like this would be definitely actually changing the entire society, making people more and more self-reliant. So your startup has received funds, I think, from Sketchnote partners, Shark Tank, Anand Mahindra, and IN. So how much funds you have raised so far, and how has the fund utilization been done so far?
Okay, so we've raised I think around 7 crores of funding so far, around $1 million. And thank you. And fund utilization till date, as in, has been about growing Annie. And now we see that with this, with having a solidified relationship with American printing house in the US, we want to also start exploring how to get deeper into the learning ecosystem as a whole. So Annie teaches children how to read, write, and type. And for a long time, the company was very focused on ensuring we got that right. And now we are thinking of branching out into what happens after you learn Braille. You learn science, you learn mathematics, you learn other stuff. You consume content in different ways. Uska learning management kaise karte hai? How do you, how do you solve the problems of different special needs across a range of special needs? Because ultimately, it's an edtech problem. If something affects 15% of all students, then special needs is a very pervasive, thing. And except that, I think it's always been looked at in tiny silos where, acha, vision impairment this, and hearing impairment this, and learning disabilities this. So it's really important to sort of look at it as a consolidated, in a consolidated sense. And I think that will really supercharge the industry. And that's what we are working on behind the scenes at Thinkerbell Labs.
Just a quick one there. So, like, as you have been receiving funds, and also it has been utilized in the ways so that it becomes more and more accessible to the children out there. So, what are your goals and future expansion plans, as you are already there in 16 plus cities, as you said? So, what are the next plans to grow?
We have one very simple goal, and it is 100% Braille literacy. I think there is so much that can be unlocked in terms of potential. It is unimaginable what kind of potential we are missing out on as a country, as an economy, because we cannot take something as simple as literacy for granted. I know that we as a country also don't have 100% literacy in general, but one can very easily see the compounding effects on putting efforts on that early issue and how that changes society over time. So that's our future goal, and we're trying to see with what is the best model to work with, because there are a lot of stakeholders, and therefore there's a lot of stakeholder management involved in trying to make something like 100% braille literacy happen. So we're trying to do that, and I'd like to send an appeal to the viewers here that if that's a mission that you believe in, that's a mission that resonates with you, please reach out to us. We want to make this happen.
Sure. And just the last one, as I think we have discussed this in the during discussions also, that India is definitely looking for such solutions, but also the problem of affordability is always there. So because I think the device costs and should be, in such a way, either through government grants or through, the rental models where, very such people who are not able to access or buy such kind of devices are able to get it. And so that the talent, the pool of talent can be utilized for India's growth. So any views on that? Anything you're planning for that?
Yeah, for sure. So, we as a company have always held the principle that the child should never be paying for anything we build. So, anything we've sold in India, anything we've sold internationally, it's never paid for by the children or the users themselves, because it's not their responsibility to bridge that gap of special needs, right? It is the school's responsibility. It's always the government's responsibility. And so we make sure we partner with, if it's a government school, we make sure we partner with the government department to ensure that the solution reaches them. Or if it's a private school, then we find them CSR sponsors to ensure that the solution reaches the child. In fact, I've been pleasantly surprised after Shark Tank to have people reach out to me saying, I can personally afford this device, please give it to me. And we are not equipped to sell it directly to people, because we've always tried to work with the organization, because we know how expensive it can get.
Yes.
That said, the reason why Annie is taking off so rapidly, even in international markets, is because it is extremely cheap compared to current technology. And I think I would praise my team very highly for the sheer technological innovation that has gone into making something that can deliver the learning outcomes at 1/5 the cost. And that's in Indian cost I'm talking about. The multiplier is insane when you look at. I'll give you an example. So in the UK, for example, if you want a braille tutor to teach your child for an hour every day, that's going to cost you £25,000 a year, right? That's just for 1 hour of tuition. Annie costs you £1,000.
1,000 years.
And there's a content subscription of another £150. But okay, but look at the sheer drastic reduction in prices. So I know from a consumer perspective, it's like, oh my God, what is $1,000? What's £1,000? That is insane. Yeah, but it is not a consumer product to begin with, and that is the reason it's not a consumer. It's an organization, it's an institutional product. We are of course exploring the consumer angle, because post Shark Tank, we've gotten tremendous feedback from people. We've people writing into to our emails, to our website saying, I want it on an individual basis, doesn't matter what it costs. Because if they went out to the market trying to fulfill the same need, it would cost them 10 times more, 20 times more.
Yes.
And I'm very proud to share that because of its cost effectiveness, Annie Smart Class has been, it was nominated for the PM's Innovation Prize back in 2019. Because it delivered the same learning outcomes as traditional methods in 1/5 of the cost and a fraction of the time also. And Thinkerbell Labs has also received the National Startup Award for access to institutional education. So I understand the sticker shock of $1,000. It makes for great television. But I'm very proud to share that we are extremely cost effective. In fact, the reason we're revolutionizing this industry is because of how... and I think that's the real power of Make in India, where if you can actually apply the talent and the opportunities that are present here, you can solve global problems at a fraction of the cost. And
so I think
that's what
Thinkerbell is definitely creating an example of made in India and made for the world, because it's innovative technology solutions and also at a very cost effective price. I think definitely those institutes there in US, UK can definitely more easily afford these kind of things, where we need a lot of grants and promotions for this, and lot of things where we need to actually convince that this is going to be definitely solve the problem to a large extent with
Yeah.
saving lot of times, especially.
That said, I think the government is also ramping up spending for inclusive education, like in terms of focus on inclusivity, and in terms of actually having those budget heads. Because of the pandemic, again, in the whole education industry, using technology has become something that is second nature. So in India, I would say not just in US or UK, but in India also, technological adoption is accelerating rapidly, even at the grassroots level. And we're seeing that because we talk to people every day who are making those decisions on the field. So I think it's in terms of make in India. Annie, I just received a photograph today. So Annie is actually at the World Economic Forum in Davos in the Make in India panel,
Wow.
the pavilion, Make in India pavilion, and
And
I yeah, it actually is a fine example of technology innovation
definitely.
created here in India and that solves global issues.
So any cool piece of advice to all those startup entrepreneurs, especially who are watching this video at Medicircle?
I don't know. I mean, what advice can I give? I will share my favorite piece of advice that I've gotten from a college senior is don't have a plan B. When you keep creating a plan B and plan C, on a personal level, it's easy to lose sight of the grand target. And what enables you to dream big and fly big is knowing that's all there is to do.
That's really great. So this was some very cool advice from Ms. Sanskriti, and I'm pleased to have you with us, Sanskriti, and thank you so much for joining us today at Medicircle.
Thank you so much.